There's a silent killer stalking Porsche 911s in garages all around the world. It's not a design flaw or some exotic gremlin you can't avoid. It's a mistake. A simple, common maintenance error that well-meaning owners and even some professional mechanics make every single day. This mistake is so subtle, so innocent-seeming, that most people don't have a clue they've made it until it's way too late. By then, they're hearing terrifying noises, seeing clouds of smoke, and staring down a repair bill that can easily rocket into the tens of thousands of dollars. We're talking a full engine rebuild. And the irony? This disaster often starts as an act of care. It happens during the most routine job of all, the oil service. There's a piece of advice floating around that sounds right, that you've probably heard on forums or from other owners, but following it could be the most expensive mistake you ever make with your 911. It has to do with your engine's oil, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the simple procedural flaw that Porsche manuals don't scream loud enough about. A flaw that is quietly turning prized possessions into ticking time bombs. So what is this mistake? It's overfilling your engine with oil. I know what you're thinking, a little extra oil, that's it. How can that possibly kill a masterpiece of German engineering? You might even think adding a little extra is playing it safe. That's the big misconception. In the world of a Porsche 911 Flat 6, especially with its specialized dry sump lubrication system, too much of a good thing is a profoundly bad thing. It's a mistake that is terrifyingly easy to make and has absolutely devastating consequences. A shocking number of engine failures can be traced right back to this one simple error. We're going to break down exactly why this happens, what it does to your engine in excruciating detail, how to know if your car is at risk right now, and most importantly, the precise expert-approved method to make sure you never, ever make this mistake. This could save your engine and your bank account. To understand why a bit of extra oil is so lethal, you have to picture what's happening deep inside your engine. Unlike most cars with a wet sump, where oil just sits in a pan at the bottom, your 911 has a sophisticated dry sump, or integrated dry sump system. This means the bulk of the oil isn't in the engine, it's in a separate tank. It's a brilliant design for high-performance driving, guaranteeing a constant oil supply even when you're pulling serious G's in a corner, which prevents oil starvation. But that design is also what makes it incredibly sensitive to the oil level. The oil pan at the bottom of the engine is deliberately shallow. It's just a temporary collection point before scavenger punks send the oil back to the main tank. Now imagine what happens when you, or a technician who doesn't know better, adds too much oil. The owner's manual says do not overfill, but it doesn't quite convey the sheer terror of what happens next. That shallow oil pan is now flooded. The crankshaft, spinning at thousands of RPM, starts violently churning through this excess oil. This isn't lubrication, it's a brutal mechanical beating. Think of a high-speed kitchen mixer turning heavy cream into whipped cream. The crankshaft acts like a giant whisk, aerating the oil and turning your expensive, high-tech lubricant into a useless, frothy foam. This is where the catastrophic chain reaction begins. This foamy, bubbly stuff is no longer a proper liquid lubricant. Its ability to protect vital engine parts is shot. The tiny air bubbles in the foam prevent the oil from creating the critical high-pressure film that keeps metal surfaces from grinding against each other. Your engine's oil pump, designed to move liquid, struggles to circulate this foamy mess, and oil pressure can plummet. The first victims are usually the rod bearings. These small, delicate shells are what the connecting rods ride on. They need that constant high-pressure film of oil. When they get a gulp of aerated foam instead of pure lubricant, that protective film vanishes. Metal grinds on metal, the heat is immense, and in seconds, the bearing can weld itself to the crankshaft, seize, and spin. When that happens, you've got a spun rod bearing. This is catastrophic engine failure. You'll hear a horrifying knocking sound, which is the sound of a failed connecting rod trying to beat its way out of your engine block with every single rotation. At this point, you're no longer the owner of a Porsche 911, you're the captain of a very expensive, self-destructing paperweight. The only fix is a complete teardown and rebuild, a job that often costs between $15,000 and $30,000, and sometimes even more.
But the horror doesn't stop there. Overfilling also forces liquid oil into the crankcase breather system known as the air oil separator, or AOS. This system is only designed to handle oil vapor, not liquid oil. When it gets overwhelmed, it allows a torrent of engine oil to be sucked directly into your engine's air intake. From there, it coats your mass airflow sensor, fouls your spark plugs, and gets ingested into the combustion chambers. The result is what many owners notice first: huge plumes of blue or white smoke pouring from the exhaust. This isn't just embarrassing, it's a sign your engine is literally choking on its own oil. In severe cases, the engine can suck in so much oil that it leads to hydrolock, where a cylinder fills with incompressible liquid oil. This can bend connecting rods and cause instant, irreparable damage. All of this, the foam, the lost lubrication, the spun bearings, the smoke, and hydrolock, can stem from one seemingly small mistake: adding too much oil. If the consequences are so dire, why is this so common? It's a mix of the 911's unique design and habits we've all learned from regular cars. The number one reason is a misunderstanding of the dry sump system. Many quick lube shops or mechanics without specific Porsche experience do an oil change like they would on any Toyota. They might only drain the main engine sump plug and forget the separate oil tank, leaving quarts of old oil in the system. Then they refill with the factory-specified total capacity. The result? A massive overfill. I've seen it happen, and it ends with the car being towed in, smoking like crazy with a terrified owner. Even if you know to drain both plugs, you're not out of the woods. The refilling process is where the second mistake happens. In a normal car, you dump in the right amount of oil, check the stick, and you're done. If you try that with a 911, you are setting a trap for yourself. The oil level reading in a 911, whether it's an old school dipstick or a modern electronic gauge, is only accurate under very specific conditions. The engine must be fully warmed up, idling, and on perfectly level ground. When the engine is cold, most of the oil is sitting in the remote tank, and any reading you get is completely false. Here's the classic scenario. An owner changes the oil, drains it, and adds back, say, 8 quarts. They start the car for a minute, shut it off, and check the level. The gauge reads low, barely registering. The instinct we've all been taught is to add more. It's low, I need to top it off. So they add another quart, maybe another half. What they don't realize is the oil hasn't had time to circulate, warm up, and expand. Once they go for a real drive and the oil hits operating temperature, that low reading suddenly shoots up, and now the oil level is way over the max line. The crankshaft starts whipping and the damage begins. This is the hidden truth. The oil gauge in your 911 will lie to you if you don't follow the proper procedure. It takes patience. It means trusting the numbers, how much oil you should add, more than that initial cold reading. That yellow gunk you might find inside your oil cap can be a warning sign. It's often dried foam from an overfill condition that has made its way up the filler tube. This isn't about being careless. It's about a lack of very specific, niche knowledge that the owner's manual just doesn't emphasize enough. So, how can you know if your engine is overfilled? Your car will give you some pretty clear warnings. If you see any of these, you need to act immediately. Excessive smoke from the exhaust. This is the big one. You might see a huge cloud of dense white or blue smoke, especially on startup or after a hard corner. A hard turn can cause the excess oil to slosh and force a big gulp into the breather system all at once. That smoke is just oil being burned in the combustion chamber. Poor engine performance. The engine might feel sluggish, down on power, and could shake or vibrate, especially at idle. This happens because the crankshaft churning through oil creates drag, robbing power. It can also be a sign that your spark plugs are fouled with oil, causing misfires. Visible oil leaks. As internal pressure builds, oil gets forced out of weak points. You might notice new oil drips under your car or see fresh oil around engine seals or the breather system. A burning oil smell. When oil gets forced out of the breather system, it can drip onto the hot exhaust, creating a very distinct and nasty burning oil smell. The oil level reading. This is your most direct clue. If you check your oil level the right way, engine hot, idling on perfectly level ground, and the gauge shows a level above the max line, you have a problem. If you see any of these signs, especially after an oil change, stop driving the car immediately. Don't try to burn it off. Continuing to drive an overfilled engine is risking catastrophic failure with every rotation. Now for the most important part, the correct foolproof procedure for your Porsche 911's oil. Following these steps religiously is the difference between a healthy engine and a 5-figure repair bill. For checking your oil level, this is not like checking the oil in a normal car. The procedure is absolutely critical. Warm the engine completely. Take the car for a solid 15 to 20 minute drive. The oil needs to be at full operating temperature so the thermostat opens and oil circulates through the whole system. Find level ground. This is non-negotiable. Even a small slope will give you a false reading. Keep the engine idling. Do not shut the car off. This applies to most models. Check your specific year. The oil level has to be checked while the engine is running at idle. Check the gauge. Now and only now check the oil level through your instrument cluster or with the dipstick. This is the true reading. It should be between the min and max marks and never, ever above max. For changing and refilling your oil, this process is a marathon, not a sprint. Patience is everything. Gather your supplies. Get the right oil, a new filter, and new crush washers for all the drain plugs. Many models have multiple plugs for the crankcase and the oil tank. Drain when hot. Just like checking the level, you want to drain the oil when it's hot. It flows out easier and carries more gunk with it. Be careful, it will be scalding hot. Drain all plugs. This is critical. You have to drain both the engine crankcase and the external oil tank. The tank holds most of the oil. Let it drain for at least 20 minutes to get as much old oil out as possible. Measure the drained oil. This is a pro tip that gives you a fantastic sanity check. By measuring what came out, you know almost exactly what needs to go back in. Replace filter and plugs. Install the new filter and replace the drain plugs with new sealing rings. The slow fill method. This is the key to not overfilling. Do not dump the full oil capacity at once. Start by adding about 2 quarts less than the total specified capacity. If the car takes 9 quarts, add only 7 to start. Initial check. Start the engine and let it idle for a minute, then shut it off and check for leaks. Bring to temperature. Now, go through the full warm-up procedure. Drive the car until the oil is fully hot. The gradual top-off. Park on level ground, let the engine idle, and check the gauge. It will probably read low. Now, add oil in tiny increments. No more than 1/4 of a quart, about 250 milliliters at a time. After each small addition, wait a full minute for the level to stabilize before checking again. Creep up to the mark. Keep adding a little, waiting, and checking until the level is at or just below the maximum line. Seriously, don't rush this. It is far better to be slightly under the max line than even a hair over it. What if you're watching this and realize you or your mechanic already messed up? First, don't panic. If you caught it early and haven't driven the car hard, you can probably avoid any permanent damage. Stop driving immediately. The most important thing is to prevent any further harm. Do not start the engine again. Remove the excess oil. You have to get the extra oil out. You could try loosening the drain plug, but that's messy and hard to control. A much better way is to use an oil suction pump through the oil filler tube to pull the excess out from the top. You can get one at any auto parts store. Remove small amounts until the level is correct. Clean up the intake system. If your car was smoking, the airbox, intake tubes, and mass airflow sensor will need to be carefully cleaned. A contaminated mass sensor can cause poor running all by itself. The burn-off period. Even after you correct the oil level, you might still see some smoke for a little while as the leftover oil in the exhaust system burns off. This should clear up with normal driving. If the engine wasn't driven hard or at high RPMs while overfilled, it will most likely make a full recovery once the oil level is correct and the intake is clean. You've just dodged a very, very expensive bullet.
The difference between a healthy, screaming Porsche 911 engine and a silent, broken one can be a single quart of oil. The mistake of overfilling is quiet, made in the garage with the best of intentions, but its consequences are loud, dramatic, and financially ruinous. It's the foaming oil, the starving bearings, and the choked breathing system that turns an act of care into an act of destruction. But now you know how to prevent it. You get the why behind the danger, the unique sensitivity of the 911's dry sump system, and you have the how, the patient, meticulous procedure that will protect your investment. This isn't just about saving money, it's about preserving the experience. It's about making sure that every time you turn that key, you hear the iconic, healthy sound of a flat six, not the death rattle of a spun bearing. If you found this valuable, please share this with other Porsche owners. You might just save their engine. And let us know in the comments, have you ever had a shop overfill your car? Or what's your personal trick for getting that oil level perfect? Protect your passion, protect your engine. Thanks for watching.